I think they are trying really hard to find that middle ground of not completely selling their souls.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Portable Trevor here, and today's guest is a little different. Normally, I talk about filmmakers and comedians and just a bunch of creative people, and this is kind of a different side of creativity that not a lot of people get to see about. This is my friend Shauni. She made a really cool fan account from Critical Role or out of Critical Role, and she calls it CritRoleClosets. So, welcome, Shauni. What's up?
Yeah. Hi.
This is her first interview ever.
Yeah, that's like not like a job interview. So that's not terrifying.
So, tell me about your best qualities.
Oh no. What would you say is your worst habit?
What's your biggest weakness? I hate that one.
Oh, I hate that one. I always go with I always take everything too personally, which is true. And I'm like, but it's something I'm trying to work on. So
Yeah, the job interviews that I've had in the past, whenever they ask me those difficult questions, I just like come up with something that could be true and is probably true about me, and then I just like roll with it, and I'm like, but that's like I think I've done that before, like, but I'm working on it. I'll get better at it.
Yeah, because you have to spin it into like a positive, and you're just like, I don't know how to do that.
And then they kind of just put their elbow on the table, like, interesting, we like you.
Yeah. So
If the interview goes well, at least.
Yeah. Which I've been hitting like a winning streak lately of just like really chill interviews where they're just like, yeah, you want to start tomorrow? And I'm like, sure. All right. So
I think everyone I've had has always been, do you want to start on Monday? Like whatever day of the week it is.
Yeah.
Unless it's like that Monday.
No,
and I'm like, cool, we're going to start on Monday and I can get paid. What?
I attract chaos, like chaotic working environments. So.
Speaking of, I don't know what, or this word reminded me of it. Since you're such a big D&D fan, like, where are you in life? Are you a chaotic good or neutral? What are you?
Yeah, I would say I'm like a true neutral.
That's true neutral?
Yeah. Is that
interesting?
Yeah, I think it's true neutral. Where you're just like smack dab in the center.
Why do you say that?
I can easily lean back and forth. Especially at work. Like, oh man, I've only been at this dental office for like 4 months, but I've got stories already. So, which I shouldn't share on the internet.
Probably not with your audience size.
Oh man. But
so you run this account called CritRoleClosets, and it's inspired by Critical Role. So why don't you tell me about it? What is the genesis of this cool account?
Oh boy. Yeah, so I've been a Critical Role fan for like I think 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first 2 years, like I was just a fan who watched the shows. I would go to conventions, met the cast a few times, and like I wanted to get more involved, but I just didn't really know how because I can't draw to save my life. And like that is
a huge part of their fan base.
Yes.
They get the coolest fan art.
It's insane. It's to the point where I can't even keep up with it anymore. Like they have a art reel that plays before like every episode and during the breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like when I first started, there would maybe be like 20 pieces every week from artists, and now it goes on for like half an hour of just all the art people have created in the week. It's mind-boggling. I can't really cosplay either. Like I dabbled in cosplay a little bit, but I don't have the patience for it, for sure. Yeah. I also just don't like that type of attention. Some people really love that. They feel like they can embody the character and get really into it, and it's kind of like an escape. And for me, it was like the exact opposite. It was like a spotlight that I didn't want on me ever. I was like, mm-mm. So
well, your account is all about their outfits and stuff, so you could cosplay like any of the cast of Critical Role.
I've seen people do it. I've seen people cosplay and they'll like sometimes they'll even message me and be like, "Oh, I did this because I found the thing through your account." And
That's awesome.
it's such a cool feeling cuz they do these really extravagant like live show outfits, especially Sam. I don't know if you've ever like you could Google a photo of just probably like Sam Riegel live outfit and he'll wear this like atrocity that is just like neon glitter latex terrible thing. And people will buy it. People will spend like $100 and buy the suit that he's wearing. And I'm like, all right, that's my piece in this fandom, I guess, is giving someone the answer to where they can find that thing.
What's the weirdest thing you've seen someone buy that they've worn?
Oh man. Um Probably I know there have been times that people will DM me about like stuff in their house. Like they'll post something from their Instagram story and they'll be like, "Hey, can you find this poster hanging up in Laura's house?" And I'll do it cuz I'm a people pleaser, I guess. And I'm like, that's they don't know the power they hold sometimes, I think. Like something as simple as taking like an Instagram video and someone will be like, I want to buy that poster in the background. So, yeah, I don't
That's
know.
insane.
It is cool when I do see people though at conventions like wearing something that they've worn before. And I'm like,
So what's your process with that? Because I've never, I've seen like, I've been like, oh, that's a cool outfit. And then I kind of just go about my day and never think about it again. But you're like, cool outfit. I'm going to find it. I've never like done that before. So like,
yeah.
if you were to look at this and be like, oh, cool outfit, like this t-shirt, how would you like go about finding it?
It probably sounds so weird, but I'm kind of at the point where I have a general idea of where they shop at this point, like each cast member. Um, so that really narrows it down. Like if they're, I can usually recognize the brand at this point, which is so weird that I can just like look at a cardigan that one of them is wearing and be like, that's probably from J. Crew. I think that's J. Crew.
But how did you figure that out initially? Did you just hear them say it in an interview, or did you like do some Googling?
I just got really good at finding it on the internet in a way of using like keywords, and it's almost like a puzzle. Like you'll try different keywords until you find the right thing, and you can do like reverse image searching, which I think a lot of people think that's what I do majority of the time, but reverse image searching really isn't as useful as you think it is. I get a lot of random shit that I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for at all. It's
So
like, were
you
you
like
trying to find a
screenshot?
chandelier? It's like, no.
That's funny. So do you like screenshot from the streams and then you just like,
Yeah.
nice. And you said it's not reliable most of the time?
For the most part, yeah. But I mean, closet accounts are just so fascinating to me in general. Like, part of the reason why I came up with this idea was I just followed so many for fun. Like, there was one for Haley Williams from Paramore that was really cool, and I was just so fascinated that someone took the time to find all of those things that she was wearing. And I mean, you can look it up for like almost any celebrity, but I think what makes it appealing for Critical Role is that at the end of the day, they're normal people, and a lot of what they wear is affordable. And so, you know, you're not looking at a celebrity wearing like an $800 dress that you're like, wow, that's cool. I could never buy that. But you see like Marisha wearing a cool shirt that's $20, you know, that's a little different.
Yeah, I think that's what's awesome about internet celebrities in general is most of them are much more normal than your Hollywood celebrities. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very admirable to look up to them and be like, hey, I can be like you. I can wear that J. Crew t-shirt that's much more affordable than this Gucci t-shirt.
Voice actors, they're just like us.
Yeah. I think is that what drew you to the show initially? Was these guys are talented and prolific voice actors, or what was it?
Yeah, gosh, I'm saying so much and I'm getting self-conscious
Me
now.
too. I say it like a lot too. I need to get over that.
uh I initially started watching it because I was a big fan of Ashley Johnson's career. She's Ellie in The Last of Us.
Big fan.
Yeah, yeah. Laura Bailey, she has a really cool career. She's gone from doing anime to mainly video games now. And I mean, she just blows me away with like every project. Like anytime a new game comes out, I'm just like, how, Laura Bailey? Um, yeah, it just seemed like I naturally just kind of gravitated towards it because a year up until the point that I actually started watching, like I knew what it was, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch that someday, and then it just kept getting pushed off because I was busy and like we were kind of talking about earlier, these sessions are like 4 hours long.
Hmm.
So it's a little intimidating as a newcomer to take on like thousands of hours worth of content.
Yeah, I watched my friend Zack Bailey. Shout out to him. He's like the biggest D&D fan I've ever met. But
Mhm.
he was telling me all about this, and I was like, I want to watch this magical show. Please show me it. And he was like, you want to watch the whole thing? And I was like, sure, let's do it. And we just like we got some soda and pizza, typical D&D food,
Yeah.
and we just like hung out and watched them. And I was just like, I've never even played this game, but I
Mhm.
want to now. So he's like, let's do it, man. And because of, I think it was like, you probably told me it was like season 2, episode 1, and I was just like, this is awesome. And then I never watched it again. We just like actually played D&D, and that was
Yeah.
really fun. That was really cool.
Which I honestly think they would be so happy to hear that. Like they're the
Hmm.
type of people where they they are so humbled when people tell them like I started playing D&D because of you guys. And I think they wouldn't even mind if it was like, wow, I was so inspired by your show that I just started playing D&D and didn't continue with Critical Role. Like they would probably find that even cooler. Like, wow, you found your own thing. Like that's awesome. So,
Yeah, and like moving here to Atlanta, a lot of people are actors and filmmakers and everything. And even if you're not an actor, I highly encourage anyone to play D&D. Much like joining an improv group, like it helps you in
yes.
conversations and it just kind of keeps you on your toes. It's really cool.
Hmm. Yeah, I started playing D&D with a group of friends from one of my jobs, and prior to that we were friendly, we were on friendly terms, but I wasn't close with them, and it's like now we have inside jokes. Now I consider them very near and dear to me because of this thing that brings us together, once every other week or so. And it's in a way it's like therapy. Like you get to process these emotions in real time, which it can be daunting at first, but when you're with a group that you actually trust, it's like it's what's that like falling game where you like fall backwards, trust fall, like
Trust fall? Yeah.
yeah, it's like a trust fall. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, it's like I can trust you guys that you're not going to screw me over in this battle
Mhm.
or steer me in a wrong direction. So that's really dope.
Yeah. Cuz I've played some not so great sessions before where they literally lasted like one or two sessions, and it was because I had a DM who just wanted to kill everybody, or I think my worst experience was I kind of joined a friend's group just as a like a temporary guest. It wasn't like a permanent thing. And instead of like directly talking to me, the rest of the players would talk through the DM what they would say to my character. And it was just like the most alienating, like gatekeeping BS ever. I was like, this is so stupid. Like maybe D&D just isn't made for people like me. Come to find out like 3-4 years later, it's for everybody. Like you just got to find the right people.
Really is. Also, Ghost Kid Lee, shout out to you. Give me some bits.
What's up, Ghost Kid Lee? I
aka
see.
Lee Jennings of the Funeral Portrait. Go
Oh,
listen to
hi,
their music.
Megan. So Megan's here. She's like OG Critter. She's been watching
Really
since like day one. Yeah, I
cool.
see some
How did
fans.
they? When
Oh,
did they start?
hi.
Were you a fan like day one?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm interviewing
um,
you.
yeah, I got distracted for a second.
It's all good.
Um, I started watching actually around episode 100 of campaign 1. So there's like 115 episodes in campaign 1,
Hmm.
and what made me finally take the jump was because I was following like Ashley and Laura and I think Matt Mercer on Twitter. They were posting so many things because it was obviously a huge deal hitting 100 episodes. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll finally watch this. And then it was just rabbit hole from there.
Have
So,
you seen every episode now?
oh yeah. Yeah, every episode,
Jeez,
every one shot, every even I mean they have like supplemental series now too, of just them hanging out, doing things outside of the game. I watch everything. So it is a full-time hobby. Like it's insane.
that's so cool. So I don't really like to talk about numbers on this show whenever it comes to like having my guests. I just don't think that's important. What is
Mhm.
important is like what you make and what value you bring to the Critical Role community. I think that's cool. But you have like 30,000 followers on one account alone, which is really cool. And
Yeah.
you said like you've had people buy like the clothes, like, hey, I found this, thank you so much, I was looking everywhere for it. And
Mhm.
uh, what is it like reading all those comments?
I mean it sounds so corny, but some of it has been incredible. Like I think the ones that really move me the most are from people who are transgender or non-binary, or they might be going through some sort of transition where they're like, well, maybe this whole feminine thing isn't for me, or maybe this whole masculine thing isn't for me. And yeah, I'll get messages from people being like, I'm trying to, like I'm transitioning into this new part of my life, and clothing has just been, I don't know what to do because I've been told I needed to be this way my entire life. And because of this account, I've been able to look at like what Liam wears or what Brian wears and take inspiration from them. Those are the ones that I'm like, whoa. Like those are really like I'm so humbled by those. Or, people just it's a very like inclusive account because we I post like I think up to 10 different people, and I try to include different body shapes, and I tend to try to switch off between things where I'm like, "Oh, this is like a super feminine dress," and then I'll go to something that's like a complete 180 so that everybody feels like they can gain something from following the account. And I think that's really important for really any social media following is like, I personally don't think you should ever limit yourself. Like you should try to appeal to everybody. And I think that's been kind of the magic with what I do, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's cool that you've taken it one step further instead of just posting the link. Like you said, you've gone through like all sizes and found like ones that everybody can wear.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to post all of the sizes that are available. I'm trying to think of ways that I can even go beyond that, but still figuring it out. I'm thinking of like the next step because we've got a little bit of a quiet period right now. Critical Role isn't on actually. Um, I'm about to hit like 50,000 followers, and I'm like, okay, I wonder what, yeah, across like the 3 platforms, it's pretty close. And I'm thinking, okay, what can I do more to like benefit this community or, help people when I feel like they've done so much for me.
It's amazing. Who do you think has the best style on Critical Role?
Ooh. Um, the great thing is that they are also different from each other.
Mm,
You have you have like Taliesin, who just looks like a circus man, just eternally living in Burning Man, and it's a gift. Personally, I really like Ashley's style because she's kind of got like a tomboy, nerdy type of vibe going on, and that's kind of similar to how I dress. So, but I've literally bought something from because of every member on this show. Like I've bought a shirt that they've worn.
do the Critical Role guys know that you run this account?
Yeah.
They do? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Um yeah, it's been amazing getting the love from them. Most of them follow the account, and anytime I see them in person, they're really happy to see me. So that's cool.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, they're
I
super
can't
into
think
it.
of any of my role models that would remember me.
Yeah, it's there have been some like out of body moments too, and I'm just like, really, all this over like a silly fan account? Okay, but I mean, what I do is just so there's only one of this. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I've had this like really I'm just blanking like to have this really special place in the community. It's been neat.
Yeah. And you also told me before the interview that you've like traveled all over the world to see these guys. Like where have you been to see them?
I feel like you're outing me. Um, so the most recent one was C2E2 in Chicago, which that was the second time that I've gone there to see them, but I'm originally from that area, so it didn't feel super weird traveling there because it's pretty
Hmm.
much my home. Um, yeah, I've gone to Gen Con, which is in Indiana. Um, Los Angeles for they did a one shot there called The Search for Grog. I went to that I think last January, which was like one of the best weekends of my life. And the first time I did any sort of Critical Role event was actually here in Atlanta. It was for Anime Week in Atlanta, and Laura and Travis came here. And this was back during campaign 1, like right before their popularity like really really exploded. Like they were still kind of this hidden gem in a way. Like they were certainly popular and they had a following, and um for the most part the people who were in their lines were there because of their work on Critical Role, but it was like way different than how it is now. Like it's insane. It's like they've tripled in popularity, but I'm really happy for them.
Something that's fascinated me over the past few years, and this is like I'm mostly talking about like the Let's Play community, like on just like YouTube and Twitch,
Hmm.
like we've shifted in entertainment. Like what a lot of people find entertaining is like playing games and like how uh, people's experience with playing those games and being like, hey, I've been through that. Like when
Hmm.
somebody like rage quits a game, it's like, hey, that's relatable. So why do you think it's
Yeah.
entertaining for people to watch D&D besides like the obvious, like these guys are voice actors and pretty much trained entertainers? Like why do you think it's so fun to watch these guys play D&D?
I think ultimately what resonates with people is you look at something like a movie, which is what, 3 hours max of getting to know these characters and their struggles. And I mean, every film or even TV show follows like a structure. Something like this, it's completely unpredictable. I mean, you have Matt, the DM, who generally has an idea as to where the story's going to go, but it ultimately lands on the players to decide what's going to happen. And sometimes he'll be like, well, I wasn't planning that. Like, this story is doing a 180. So there's this unpredictable quality to the show that you never truly know what's going to happen. and you're experiencing it in real time with the cast. So, for example, like someone just straight up dies, it's like you're experiencing it not only with them as it's happening, but with thousands of people around the world. And it's like you said, entertainment is changing so much. Like I still watch TV, I still watch movies, but there is something different now with watching a streamer, watching a YouTuber. People are craving that next step in like connecting with what they love, which can be healthy and unhealthy. Um, I think Critical Role has managed to keep those boundaries really well with remaining engaged with their fans, but also like establishing, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
No,
Like,
I get it.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, occasionally you might see like some hot take on Twitter or Tumblr where people get really aggressive, but for the most part it's a very chill community.
Yeah, that's amazing. Has there, um, with this being like, you know, an improv thing, uh, what's been like your favorite moment in all of Critical Role? Has there been one that's just made you like jump in there like, oh my gosh, that was so rad?
So many. I have a huge soft spot for Talison's current character. His name is Caduceus Clay. He's this do you know what a furbolg is?
I do not. For
Oh.
everyone watching, I've only seen one episode of Critical Role so far,
But
and I feel
you've
really
played
bad.
D&D for 2 years.
I have played
So
D&D,
you're
yes.
not like a total noob. Don't
I'm a pretty big noob.
don't let the internet come after you.
Don't hate me.
Furbolgs are just like these cute cow slash deer like kind of people, but they're like humanoid. They're just
Mhm.
adorable. So he plays this furbolg who has like pink hair. He's been living in a forest for like a long time, so he's like socially inept. He's just my sweet baby boy, and if anything bad ever happens to him, like I lose my mind. Like anytime he gets really close to like dying or even just being remotely sad, like even just a little bit because he's such a happy character. Um yeah, I always perk up whenever it's like Caduceus's
Oh,
moment, like whenever he has a little um moment to shine. So I don't want to like spoil anything just in case there are people watching this who aren't caught up. Um I think like the first moment that just pops into my head is they were like in this battle and it wasn't going well, and Caduceus has this ability where he can like he was like hiding in the walls, and he like came out of the walls and was just like, it's bad, we're running. And I don't know why, it was just like in the moment it was the most endearing and like cutest thing ever. I think that's when
hmm.
he became my fave. It's a lot of small moments. I think it's hard to really sell the series because I I wouldn't say that. It's sometimes it's hard to sell the series to somebody because they'll just be like, "Well, what's like the gist of it?" And it's like, "Well, how do I explain thousands of hours worth of content into like a bite-sized tidbit for you to understand?" It's easier to just honestly watch it and just see if you like it or not.
Right. And
Yeah,
like I said, I only
when I
watched
think
one
of my
episode.
favorite moments, it's just Caduceus like being cute. That's it.
I'm the campaign that I'm doing right now. It's been on and off. We've only had like 3 sessions, I think, but I'm playing a really cute halfling character right now. His name's
Oh,
Roscoe Honeypot with 2 T's.
oh
That's
my
how he
god.
introduces everyone.
I love them
And he's a
already.
bard, so
Oh, that's so good. I love
yeah,
me
he's
a
got a
bard.
lyre and he ain't afraid to use it.
I'm playing a human monk right now. Her name is Ophelia, and
Ooh.
it's been really like I kind of modeled her after Katniss Everdeen from like the Hunger Games. Like I really wanted to play this beautifully layered, confident human being, like basically everything that I'm not. I'm like, well, I'm going to think of what I wish I could be, which is usually more confident, and put that in my D&D character. It didn't go that way. She's like the most awkward human being in the whole world. Um, she's a hot mess, but I love her.
Is that because of the way you play her, or did it like kind of turn that way as you were playing her?
I think I spent one session trying to be cool, and it's actually really hard to just be like witty on the spot and like know the right thing to say to sound like a badass versus I've found that it's way more fun to just say the first thing that pops into my head. Because
I gotcha.
normally I'm a very reserved person in real life and I really weigh on what I'm going to say. Like I tend to overthink, if anything.
Hmm.
So it's been really liberating to play this character who just word vomits every thought that pops into her head and it gets her in some awkward situations.
And that's funny you say that because I remember. So this isn't the first time me and Shauni have talked. We actually worked on a film set
We
like a couple
did.
months ago. It
We
was
did
really
for
fun.
for a really cool music video.
Yeah. If you guys have ever heard the band Fozzy, we were on the music video. Nowhere to Run.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I loved I loved having you on set because uh, we had my roommate Michaela. You guys like were hanging out or whatever, and I would
Mhm.
just like run up to Shauni and Michaela and just start doing like weird Fortnite dances because I was getting bored. Good times.
Yeah, that was like my first impression of you was just like, who is this strange man just running up to me doing like Fortnite dances?
And then I did an impression of Lee to you,
Yes, my
and I was
boyfriend.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's spot on. I was just like, wow, this is concerning.
I'm just good at impressions. Give me an impression.
Maybe you should be on Critical Role.
I should. I would be really good. I'm just kidding. I would be
Yeah.
awful.
Oh
But
God.
I talked to my friend Zach about this. He when we were whenever he was like really into Critical Role, I think he still is. But do you think it can be a bad thing with like someone who's never played D&D and they see these group of people and it's like, oh my gosh, like they're vibing well, like the words are just rolling off their tongues, like they're doing so great, they know exactly what to do, and then they play D&D and then they realize there's a lot of awkward pauses and ums and likes and stuff like that. Does that did that affect you whenever you were starting out?
So I see that a lot, and oddly enough, I'll see that from people who want an excuse to hate on Critical Role. They'll be like, "Oh, Critical Role to D&D is like I hate to use this analogy, but like it's what like porn is to sex." And I'm like, "No." I think yeah, you just need to keep your expectations realistic. You got to consider that there's like two married couples on the show. Another two have been best friends for like, I think 10, 15 years. That kind of rapport doesn't happen overnight. Like, yes, there are going to be awkward moments when you start a campaign. Even if you are good friends with those people, I mean, role playing is such a vulnerable thing. And I think a lot of people don't want to admit that. Like it can be scary opening up in that way in front of your friends. All it takes is for one of them to just kind of giggle and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm not going to do that ever again." And you just got to find your people. It's like what happened with me. Sometimes it takes one or two bad experiences to just be like, "Well, now I know what I don't want out of a game." Um yeah, I mean, occasionally on Reddit, I'll see people who will be like, I thought I was gonna DM this game just like Matt Mercer, and either my players weren't into it or they just wanted to be like murder hobos, and I wanted to do something that was more roleplay heavy. Ultimately, it's everybody wants something different out of the game.
I
Um,
think it's almost like because these guys have been doing it for a long time. It's almost like I want to be a baseball player, like Babe Ruth or something, and then you go out and play baseball for the first time in your life, and you suck at it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just kind of hang your head, and it's like, man, I was gonna play like Babe Ruth, and I can't play like Babe Ruth, so that's not worth it. So that's, I don't know if that was the best analogy, but it's just like, why would you hate on someone for being, the
Yeah.
best at what they do?
Yeah. And I mean, the reason why it works is because they do make it look so natural. And in a way, it
Hmm.
is natural for them. I mean, some of them have been performing since they were literally like children. I think half of them are like child actors, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just you got to keep your expectations real. It's unfortunate that some people just get that idea in their head, and when it doesn't go their way in person, they feel the need to lash out at them. Um, but yeah, it's just you got to make your own magic at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to your account, um, you said like this is like a full-time hobby, right?
Yeah, I mean it's been a weird month because since Critical Role has been on hiatus, I've essentially been on hiatus as well. I try to post like once or twice a week just to kind of remind people like, "Hey, I'm not dead." Um, but yeah, it's been hard to not have this thing that has become such a constant thing in my life for 4 years is just kind of gone. Um, I mean, obviously there's an incredible amount of backlog of episodes that I can revisit. And a lot of people have been making compilations on YouTube of like best moments from campaign 2 so far. Because they actually are on episode 99. Like the next episode is going to be 100. So a lot of people have been able to make like best moments from the first 99 episodes. And I've been watching a lot of those on YouTube. And gosh, it's like one moment you're laughing and then you're crying. And it's like you feel as if you were on this journey with them. And it's amazing how much they've gone through with this campaign in what, 2 years that they've been doing this one?
And this one is season
Yeah.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I
So,
watched the first episode, and that's it.
ooh.
Maybe I should watch those compilations. Will that catch me up on it?
Yeah, there's also this thing called Critical Recap, which unfortunately they're not doing the video format anymore, but it was one of the staff members, her name is Danny. She would do like it was like 5 to 10 minutes where she would do a summary of each episode. And those were really helpful for people who like quickly wanted to catch up, maybe watch like the really notable episodes. I mean, you can find threads on the internet of like, here are the ones like episodes you absolutely cannot miss. These are very important either for plot or, the battles are really good, whatever it may be. And then here's an episode that you can kind of skip and just watch like the recap because not a lot happens in like the 4 hours. Because sometimes you do get an episode where it's just them like planning for 4 hours and then they don't even go with the plan. So those you can kind of skip or at least skim through.
I've had a lot of sessions like that because I played a D&D campaign for like 2.5 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there were just so many sessions where I about wanted to take a nap because I was like, I'm getting bored. We're just planning. I want to
Yeah.
attack.
Yeah, they do have like not so much in this campaign, but campaign 1 they had quite a few shopping episodes. And like one or two of the cast members would just zone out and be like, this doesn't, I'm a barbarian. Like I don't I don't need to shop. I just hit things. Like let me go be a tank somewhere. So yeah, usually our my own personal D&D game, if our DM isn't keeping us on track, we can easily spend a whole day like wandering around the city doing absolutely nothing and just messing with him. But it's fun. And at the end of the day, that's what matters is like how much fun you're having.
Yeah, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's a game. You got to have fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I've already said like 5 different times, like I don't want to talk about numbers. I want to talk about like the content. But I think part of your story is like how you grew that audience, because that's a big part of your Twitter accounts and or Twitter account and Instagram account is the amount of followers you've been able to obtain and the fans. So where do you remember a time where you just saw like a ridiculous amount of growth, or has it just always been like up, 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 up?
Yeah, I remember the first like, oh no moment. And that's when like uh I remember when I first started the account, no joke, I thought to myself, like, I'll be shocked if 1,000 people follow this. Like, why would anybody care about this? This is just going to be a silly little hobby of mine, but I don't expect anybody to care. Like, I was just doing it for fun. And I think like 1,000 followers in, Marisha, one of the cast members, tweeted about it. And I was at work and I literally like couldn't look at my phone screen because it was just going like this from the amount of like new notifications I was getting. Like people were following it so quickly that I just had to like turn my phone off. And that
Dang.
was, yeah, that was one of the strangest moments of my life. I was like, oh, okay. And in that I think in that night alone I got close to like 10,000 followers.
Wow.
Yeah, again, I've been very fortunate to have the cast be so hands-on and so not only kind but encourage it. Because in the beginning, I did get, you know, some not so nice comments from some people who were just saying like, "This is stupid."
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah, yeah, like typical internet, just being like, "You suck." Like I'm not gonna go beyond that because I have gotten some like really truly malicious comments before where I'm just like, wow, you have a lot of hate in your heart. Like I'm just vibing on the internet and you're telling me some really cruel things. Um, but ever since I would say honestly when Matt started following the account is when like all the hate stopped. So that was cool. It was kind of me being like standing behind my dad, like, yeah. What about it? Matt Mercer follows me now. Deal
I
with
don't
it.
even watch Critical Role that much, but I feel like if Matt Mercer followed me, I'd be like, "What now, everybody?"
I specifically remember I was in a cafe and I was just staring at my screen when I got like the notification. I was just like, oh, he must have accidentally hit the follow button. Like there's no way that he meant to do that. But
He did.
Matt Mercer approved.
You like go to the account and he like immediately unfollowed you and he like
I
messages
thought
you and
that was
he's like,
what.
"Sorry, I didn't mean to."
No, I seriously thought he was gonna be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like I accidentally hit follow. Like I meant to block you because I think you're weird. Yeah, no, no. I don't want to like have this sound like I'm bragging or anything, but I will say probably the most incredible moment from this so far was finally meeting Matt at C2E2 and I went up to him to get something signed. And before you walk up to them, you go up to like the person assisting them and they write like your name on a post-it note and then they put it on the item that you're going to have signed. So the person passes the item to him and he like looks down and he looks at me and he's like, "Oh, what's your name?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Shauni." And he kind of just looks down again and looks up. "Are you CritRole Closet?" Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was whew, that was definitely like an out of body like I'm not worthy.
You
That's
know
way
who I
too
am. You know
yeah,
I
like oh
exist.
god, that's really weird.
So what did you do when he said that?
Like 404 screen, like it was just blue screen for a good minute.
Error, error.
Yeah. No, they were I can't put into words like how genuinely kind they all are. And I think a big takeaway from it is they were just as nice to me before I had this account, and they're still the same people now. Like, yes, they know me because of this thing, but they were just as amazing when I met them back when I was just, watching the show and not really fully engaging with the community. They haven't changed. Even with all the Kickstarter millions of dollars and getting an Amazon deal, through everything, they're still the same people.
It's so rad. I love when, because I'm a huge GameGrumps fan. This is
Mhm.
probably a horrible analogy because they're getting a lot of hate right now, but
Oh, are they?
they
Do I want to
they
know?
have been the past few years. Do you watch them
On and off. Like,
on and off?
yeah.
I, I'll keep it quick because this has almost nothing to do with the conversation. But
You're good.
basically, like Aaron pretty much went corporate with Game Grumps, treating it more
Mhm.
like a company. And he started like cursing less and getting angry, which is what everybody loved him for. Now he's just like a calm dad almost that just
Mhm.
screams about poop
Yeah.
jokes. And it's just like, come on, dude. But Danny Sexbang, that's my boy. He's not changed one bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Critical Role has they've taken some heat because of the
Mhm.
whole Amazon deal, which I conveniently remind people Twitch is owned by Amazon. So,
Wow. Oh my
yeah, I
God.
believe so.
It is.
Um, yeah, at the end of the day, like, yes, it sucks that you're giving your money to this corporation, but I don't know. It's like you are trying to find ways to remain ethical and true to your audience, but I think they are trying really hard to find that middle ground of not completely selling their souls. But wow, we could pay our rent with this. And it's like, do they deserve hate for that? Because
That's
it's a
what's always
person.
baffled me about people that hate on people that sell out or like get sponsorships and stuff. It's like you
Hmm.
should be happy for them. They're getting money.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, are you mad that I think we're getting something like 24 episodes of an animated series? Like, do you know how much work goes into making that much of like an animated show?
Mm,
And I've even relating to the comment, if I post something that like is a little bit more on the pricier side, I've gotten comments before where people are like, "Oh, so that's where the Kickstarter money went."
oh my
Like,
gosh.
shut up. You dumbass. Like, yeah, there are just bitter people out there who wanted them to remain this precious little secret forever. And
Hmm.
it's like, I'm sorry, they saw their moment and they went with it. So, and there are so many, if you really want to support a show that does have that type of still very DIY, there are so many great ones out there. Like, you don't have to watch Critical Role, and they'll even be the first ones to tell you that. Like, Matt will constantly promote smaller channels on his Twitter. Like, there are just some people who think of them as these corporate sellouts now, and it's like, no, no, dude.
Here's a quick little lesson in business. So I am not a business expert, but I remember this. So I worked for UPS for 6 years, hated my life. Um, but I remember one time people were like cutting our hours, or most people's, not mine, because I was like one of the senior people. And I remember our boss like rolled up in like a nice like sports car, like brand new, just bought it. And the first thing I said was like, "Man, I guess that's where our hours getting cut is going to." And it's just like, no, you're stupid. That literally happened last week.
Yeah,
Like he would have had to. This would have been like a year later if that were to like do anything at all.
yeah,
So be happy for you know, your favorite creators whenever they sell out.
yeah. I know there were there were some people upset that like they made their own dice bag, and they're like, "Oh, you're taking away from dice bag creators," but if my memory serves correctly, Laura still uses one that a fan made her, and
Oh, that's so sweet.
yeah, like they use so many things that were given to them by critters.
Hmm.
I don't know. Again, I try to, when it shows up on my Twitter, I try to just ignore it.
Hmm.
The bitter goblins that occasionally pop up, but yeah.
We got a comment that says, I'm gonna leave Laura Bailey and her fabulous dresses alone. She works hard for her money and can spend it however she wants.
Yeah,
Is that
she
true?
does. Bruh, she's like, I think a lot of people forget that Laura Bailey is probably in the top 5 like working voice actresses today. Like you have someone like Tara Strong, you have someone like Jennifer Hale, but like Laura Bailey is a big deal. Like
Who is
outside
she
of
voiced?
Laura Bailey?
Hmm.
I mean, I'll be honest, I mainly know her for her anime background, but she is Nadine in Uncharted. She's the female lead in like the new Gears of War game.
Oh, cool.
She's been in Final Fantasy. She's been in let's see. So many. It's almost like just name a video game and chances are she's been in it. Um she's had an incredible career and she's going to be in the upcoming Last of Us Part 2.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
I'm
World of
excited.
Warcraft. Yes. My friend Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
What's
Said,
up, Sarah? Thanks for joining.
yeah. Um, yeah. And like Sarah said in the comments too, like with that dice bag, like they worked with a creator who was a fan. Like it's not
Hmm.
like they just jacked it from someone. Persona 4. She's in Persona 4.
Ooh.
Um,
I hope
yeah.
the
I mean,
entire comments is just Laura
it's just
Bailey's
everyone
career.
being like, "Oh my god, best Laura Bailey games." Yeah, I mean, she's a force of nature. Like I am blown away by her, and it is weird when people will just see her for like this one role and be like, "How dare you wear something nice?" I don't know. It's weird.
You sound awesome. Everyone in the
Yeah.
comments, please go tweet at Laura Bailey and be like, be on Portable Trevor's show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That would be a great
I
episode. I'd
like
love to talk to her.
anytime I've met her, I'm like profusely sweating because she's just
Really?
yes. Oh my gosh. Like, I think I've met her like 3 times now, and every time I'm just like, ugh. Her and Ashley. Honestly, all of the women from Critical Role, like I can be somewhat calm and relaxed around the men. Around the women, I'm just a mess because I adore them all so much. They're
Yeah, they
queens.
all seem, they're just like badass women. That's really
So
cool.
cool. So cool. Um I like finally really got to talk to Ashley at C2E2, and I try to not pick favorites when it comes to the cast, but I kind of do. And for a while it was Sam, but after C2E2 I'm like I I really love Ashley Johnson. Like she's amazing. So,
Are you going to play The Last of Us 2?
I may or may not have requested not only like a weekend off from one of my jobs, but I'm thinking of requesting like a whole week off from my full-time job just so I can like fetal position, like just cry when I want to because I know this game's going to destroy me. No spoilers, by the way. I know
Yeah,
a lot
please
of
don't.
stuff
I've heard about
leaked.
that.
Please don't. I have managed to avoid pretty much everything. Which is
So,
so it's so like shitty to go like 5 years anticipating this game
for real.
and then a month beforehand everything leaks.
I've only had one thing. And, oh, that's a good suggestion. I should mute
I did
everything on
mute
Twitter.
everything. Yeah.
I should mute The Last of Us and probably any tweet with containing the word Ellie or Joel or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I did. Any sort of like abbreviated version of the game, just be super extra about it. So,
Yeah. So I'm quite blessed because I've only had one thing spoiled for me ever. and it was Logan. Did you see that? I don't know if you're into like the comic book movies.
Sorry, I was reading a comment. What did you say? Sorry.
Have you seen or are you into like comic book movies, like the
Yeah.
Marvel movies and stuff? I
Mhm.
had Logan spoiled for me. That's the only thing I've ever had spoiled.
Oh no.
But I couldn't have
That
been too
ending
mad.
though.
Yeah, that's what was spoiled. But the it was a meme, and it had like Twinkies, and at the top I was like just scrolling through Facebook, and it was a picture of like two Twinkies, and it said, like this if your mom ever put these in your lunchbox. And then in like really small text, which made me like go like look at my phone even closer. In very small text next to the Twinkie, it said, Professor X and Logan die at the end of Logan. And I like took a lap around my house. I was like, oh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited for this movie. Are you
I
kidding me?
know. I know. I know I should be at the point where like spoilers shouldn't take away from the overall experience, but I just hate it. I hate being spoiled. Like people are buttholes. Also, yeah, the comment that I was reading was from Mara Jade 33082.
Oh, I see that now.
She was the original person who made the bag that Laura uses, and they said
Oh,
that
that's amazing.
they contacted her and worked out a deal with them, I guess, so that they made the bag like inspired by hers. So yeah, I mean
People love to jump to
they could have been
conclusions.
dicks and just been like, taking your design, bye.
Yeah, but they're not. That tells me that they have integrity, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they would ever jack someone's like design.
Mhm. Well, we're getting close to the end of the show. So here's what we're
Oh
going to do. We're going
boy.
to play an entire session of D&D right now. Let's go. I'm just kidding. What would you do if I just like pulled out dice and like pulled out the book and everything?
Oh, I'd be ready to go. Yeah, I've been thinking of DMing for the first time. I live with for the people watching, I live with like my boyfriend and his bandmates, and I thought it would be so fun to maybe run something for them because they're very much the type that are like, oh, D&D, that's for like weirdos who live in their mother's basement.
Nerds.
Yeah, and I want to show them like, no, D&D is sick. Like, let's play a game. So
Yeah, I love explaining D&D to people that think it's like nerdy and stuff,
it's so
because I can
great.
be
You
like,
can do whatever you want.
imagine a video game, but you can do anything.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted, like think of like, an open world game, but you can actually do those things. You're like, why can't I do that? Well, you can do that.
You
More
can
than likely.
Yeah, you can do anything you want. Granted, there are consequences, but
Mhm.
it's it's usually more hilarious when things go terribly wrong and not your way. Like you're trying to just open a door and you roll like a natural one. And you're just like, all right, what happens now? Do I impale myself on this door? Like, what's gonna happen? So
I remember the funniest thing I think that ever happened in my old D&D campaign. So I was playing a half elf paladin, and we were like going through this dungeon or whatever, and there was a tapestry, and I asked my DM, I was like, "Can you describe it to me? Is there any magic aura and stuff like that?" And
yeah.
then all my crew, they were like, Trevor, go through it. What if it's like a Mario painting? And this is like when we were just starting. I was like, they did say there's so many possibilities. So I was like, okay, I want to run into the tapestry. And my DM just gave me this confused look, and he goes, okay, roll for, I can't remember. And I rolled like a 10 or something like that.
Mhm.
And he was like, you run into the wall and you get a headache.
Yeah.
We were like,
Yeah.
no.
I will say, since you've only watched one episode, after this, you should go to YouTube, put in Key Fish from
Key
Critical Role,
fish.
or just Keyleth jumping off a cliff, and just enjoy. Just sit back and enjoy.
I will definitely do that. Well, is there anything else that you want to say about CritRole Closet? Because I think it's such a fascinating fan account.
I feel like we barely talked about it. That's fine though.
I feel
Um,
like we talked quite a bit about it, but
we talked quite a bit about it. Um,
and by the way, I try to go around an hour. Like we can keep going if you want.
oh, it's up to you. Otherwise, if I don't know if anyone in the comments had any questions.
Yeah, anybody have
Um,
any questions
yeah, if anyone
about?
has any questions, let me know. Um, again, I feel really humbled on a daily basis that I've been given just such a cool space in this community where there are so many freakishly talented people,
Hmm.
and for some reason people entertain what I do and they think it's cool. And I'm like, I'm just really good at finding stuff on the internet. Like you guys are incredibly like, man, sometimes there is like a weird feeling where I'll just see fan art that just gets kind of overlooked. And I'm like, how is everybody not screaming and losing their minds over this right now? This is incredible. And then I post like some stupid shirt and everyone's like, yeah. Um no, it's on a seriously, I've been doing this for almost it'll be 2 years in July. So that's like a
Hmm.
month from now. The concept of time is kind of lost on me. Um
Here's a good question. What's the hardest piece that
oh,
you've had
what's
to
the
find?
hardest piece? God, there are so many that have been pain in the ass. I will say there was this like it was kind of like this long. I know the listing said that it was a kimono, but it's not really a kimono, which I've gotten like mean messages about that before too, where people are like, "Excuse me, that's not a kimono," and I'm like, "I'm just saying what it says on the web page. Like, you don't have to get down my throat." Um, but yeah, it's like a kimono, and it has like some geometric designs on it. It's like beige, and it has like red and blue designs on it. I want to say that one. I think it took me like 7 hours to find.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't sit and do it all in one session either, but
Hmm.
it's like playing a video game. You'll work at it for an hour, get frustrated and be like, "Ah, screw it. I'll pick this up later." And it was like a week of me um doing like an hour every night just being like, "I want to find this." And then eventually I
Is
did, and
something
it
wrong
felt
with the
so
chat,
good.
guys?
Apparently, it is broken.
How is it broken? What's
Oops.
going on?
I don't know. Oh, okay, it's fine. Some people said that
Oh,
it
is it just
was.
not working for some of you?
Okay, cool. Sweet.
I see
Um,
everything. What's up, Alex? In the chat.
yeah, aside from that, the hardest I would say the hardest cast members to find items for are Ashley and Taliesin, just because they wear so much vintage, and especially with living in LA and Ashley living in New York for a long time, like I mean that's like a vintage mecca. there's there's something really funny going on in the comments. I'm trying not to like point it out.
It just looks like chaos to me right now.
I know. Um yeah,
Ordinal
that can
metal.
be the hardest. And Taliesin has even said before that he'll wear something vintage to throw me off. And I'm just like, I see you,
Oh
Taliesin
darn!
Jaffe. I'm
I
gonna
gotta
get
go
it.
way back in Google
Yeah.
and find this.
Yeah. Yeah, there have been times where I've found something and he's just like, how? How did you find that? Like he'll comment on it and just be like, what did you do? Like, what did you do to find this? So,
What's been the most like frustrating part for you running this account?
um, I'm trying to think.
Everything.
Just everything. No, I think when people are just like, why would they spend X amount on this
Mm.
when it's just ultimately at the end of the day, it's like it's not really our business how they spend their money. And from my perspective, I'm just so grateful that they're cool with me doing it, that I'm I don't want them to see the comments like that, because then they'll be like, well, I guess I won't wear this nice thing because some jerk from Ohio on the internet is going to be like judging me for it.
Y'all should
Some
wear
Chad who
whatever you
works at
want.
Home Depot in Ohio like is not happy with what Laura Bailey is wearing. That's usually the funny part to me, where I'm just like, why?
Here's a good one. How do you find things that aren't even being made anymore? I guess like the vintage clothes.
Um so I will say, like, my general process as to how I search for something, like if I don't immediately recognize it, or it doesn't have text or something that's like instantly I can identify it,
Mhm.
I usually go to Google and just start putting in some keywords, playing around with that, trying to find something that is similar. And two sites that have actually helped me quite a bit with stuff that is no longer available is Poshmark, where people can sell like secondhand clothing, and Pinterest for the most part, because Pinterest will save a photo even if it's not like available on the like source's website anymore, if that makes sense.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And here's an irrelevant thing. Halo 2 anniversary for Halo Master
Ah,
Chief
hell yeah,
Collection
man.
PC comes out tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
I wish I had an Xbox so I could play it.
My friend, you are so confused. I'm very sorry. I run an account about D&D streamers, and I find the clothing that they find, and apparently people really like it. Check it out. It's called CritRole Closet.
My favorite thing about this show, and especially doing it live, is I love when people join at really random times. Like one interview I had, like this guy just has done so many things, and then like out of context, it's like, I'm so confused. What does this guy do?
Yeah. Yeah, if I like, because there have been times that I've tried to explain this to my mom, and she just doesn't understand. She, in the nicest way possible, she'll be like, but why do people care? And I'm like, I know. I don't
Jeez,
know.
mom, laying down the hammer.
Like, she means it in like she's like, that's cool, but why do people care? And I'm like, we're just a bunch of weirdos.
That was actually going to be one of my questions, is like if your parents or, you know, your friends have been like, why do you do this?
Um, I think my friends just find it funny. Like, they just think it's cute. They're like, oh yeah, you do that thing where you find the clothes on the internet. um,
It is
yeah,
the
it's
most, like, you're probably the most niche guest I'm ever going to have.
no.
Like, because
Yeah.
everyone else I've had, they're like, oh, who's going to be on the show? Oh, he's a filmmaker from Atlanta and he's made this thing. And it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But with you, I'd have to be like, oh, so there's this D&D group on the internet that plays, and she has a fan account, and then I have to like connect all these
Yeah,
dots
it's
all the
it's
way down.
layered. It's a layered thing that I do. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I would love to take this to the next level in some way. I would love to, I don't know, it would be sick if I could get paid to do this, but you know, it is what it is.
You should
Um,
run a channel, your very own YouTube channel.
I do have a YouTube channel. I'm thinking of kind of like redoing it. So I'm not gonna like plug it here because I'm still kind of planning that all out. Um, yeah, it would be cool to like, I don't know, get a job from doing this. Like, I know there's a website, I think it's called Worn on TV, where it's
Hmm.
people who just find what, you know, if you're like, oh man, I really like what this girl is wearing on Riverdale, you can like go on there and see if someone's found it. And it's just like fascinating to fall down that rabbit hole.
I gotcha.
Hmm.
And we just explained what she does. She runs a fan account for Critical Role, and she finds like what they wear.
Can watch the VOD on
Yeah.
twitch.tv/portable Trevor.
Or you can go on youtube.com/portabletrevor. I upload all the episodes there too, if that's your thing.
Oh,
But
I like this comment from Simple Sunny D where they said, I wish I had the confidence to ask random people where they got like their clothing. So it's nice to have an account that does that for the fans. And yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely something I noticed from people too, where they're just like, I don't want to like, because it is, when you think about it, it is kind of a vulnerable and potentially even kind of weird thing to ask somebody. Like if you don't know someone very well, you might be reluctant to ask them something like that because you're afraid they're gonna like make fun of you. Or I feel like every girl has had that experience before where you ask another girl or you just say like, oh my god, I love your shirt, where'd you get it? And they'll just be like, I don't know. Like they don't want to tell you because they're just stuck up and mean. And I get why there might be some hesitation from someone being like, oh, I don't know how I feel asking Matt where he got this sweater, but I think it's really cool. So I'm like the middleman.
so do you think, you said like you'd love to get paid for this. What would you do if like Critical Role reached out to you and like gave you a job or something like
Bruh.
that? What do you think it would be?
Waiting on that call.
What do you think you could bring to them that they could really need you for?
Oh man. I mean, I know they have which I don't want to announce it just yet, but there is something that I am working on where I mean, I guess I can say it. I'm hoping to interview the woman who does like the costume designing for their one shots because usually for their one shots they tend to dress up, and there's a woman, her name is Jenny. I'm blanking on her last name and I feel terrible. I think it's Jenny Nugent, and she does like the costume designing for like the special occasion kind of things, and I'm actually hoping to interview her soon.
Whoa,
Yeah. Yeah, so
that'll
it
be
would be really
exciting.
cool to do something like that, but I mean that is years of not only going to school but also working in that industry and having such a keen eye for stuff like that. So, I don't know. We'll see where life takes me. I mean, I live in Atlanta, which is this hub of great filmmakers and filmmaking, so maybe I'll fall into that.
Yeah, we gotta be on another set together.
Oh my gosh, another Fozzy music video.
Yes, please.
I can be I'll pick out Chris Jericho's outfit.
Yeah, next time we're on a shoot, just show him your account and be like, "Hey, you ever heard of this?" And then you have to explain to him for 30 minutes like what it is.
How bewildered do you think he was? I will say he was very polite. I mean, I
He
don't have
was.
any sort of emotional like attachment to wrestling, so it was easy for me to be on that set because I wasn't like starstruck or anything. But yeah, I was like, wow, he's a really pleasant person. So
Yeah, this account. How do I get into filmmaking? Okay, here's what you do. Whatever camera you have, just use it.
mhm,
Just start shooting with it. That's how you get into filmmaking. That's
mhm.
my best advice.
You really just got to dive into it, just like diving into Critical Role.
Yes, you just jump into it. How
Yeah,
would
I
you,
mean,
what advice would you give people that want to start an account like yours? Because I've seen so many people just start random accounts
mhm.
similar to yours, like just something super niche, and then it just
Yeah.
never takes off, and then they get discouraged, and then a year later, you go to the account, it's like, oh, they had 15 tweets, and then they gave up.
Yeah, which is so sad. And I mean, I've been there before too. It's like I was really excited to start my YouTube thing, and it got some pretty good traction. And it was more of just my personal life got in the way. I went to school and I got a big girl job way sooner than I expected, so I was focused on that. Um, yeah, I mean, there are so many things that can factor into just getting discouraged, and it's such a concentrated um like with streamers and YouTubers, it's so hard to stand out now because everybody's doing it, especially with, this pandemic going on at the moment. Um, there's so many people jumping into it and then giving up because they're not seeing quick results. I will say you just got to do something that's going to make you stand out. You got to give people a reason to think, I want to see more of this person. I want to come back. I mean, I know it sounds silly and it sounds obvious, like, but you almost got to ask yourself, like, what do I have that I can offer in a very genuine way that will make people remember me and want to continue following me? So it
Yeah.
is hard though, and sometimes it does take you a while to find that thing. And unfortunately, there are many people who feel like they never find that thing, or maybe their personality doesn't shine through the way it does in person, or maybe, I know that I'm the type of person where it takes a while for me to get very comfortable around someone and show them who I really am. And there are definitely times where I'll meet people where they just kind of see you at face value and they're like, whatever. And it's unfortunate to feel like you lose people that way, but it just takes time. I wish I had like a better answer, like, here's my secret. But at least in my case, it just boils down to having a very unique thing to offer to a community that is very passionate.
Yeah, that's awesome. It really bums me out when I see creative people get bummed out because something isn't taking off. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I had that same mentality with this show, like I started this. This is episode 30, by the way. So woo woo
Heyo,
celebration.
look at you.
And
That's awesome.
this, thank you. Like this is the longest running thing I've ever made so far. Like I've been streaming for over like 40 hours now, I think, on this show. But I mean, I look at my numbers. I only have 123 followers, which is not a lot. But if you give up early, then you're never going to see success eventually. So my rule of thumb is give anything you want to try 3 months. And is that something that you did similar? Were you like, I'm going to try this for a couple weeks or a couple months, and if nothing happens, then I'll give it up?
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a moment where I truly thought of giving up. I do know that in the beginning, I used to post every single day. And then I slowly brought it down to just 5 days a week. And shortly before, Corona kind of forced them to go off the air, it was more like 3 to 4 days a week. And that's because I'm just thinking long term, like the longevity of the account. Um, Sorry, what was the question? I feel like I'm trailing off.
No, it's totally fine. I was just asking, like, because I've already told myself I'm going to try this for 3 months,
3 months,
and
yeah.
if I don't see anything, and like, did you do something similar? Were you like, all right, I'm going to do this for this long, but eventually, like, if nothing takes off, then maybe I'll move on to something else.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because I did get very fortunate within the first couple months that one of the cast members did promote it, and that just caused a ripple effect, and it's just been this really wonderful steady growth since then. But I mean, yeah, I'm probably not the best person to ask, but I'm sure if there was a point where it was just plateauing and I wasn't getting past a certain point, I probably would have just stopped. I mean, the account used to also be on Tumblr, and eventually, pretty recently, I stopped posting on there just because that plateaued. The Instagram and the Twitter kept growing, but I noticed Tumblr was just because ever since they introduced that they took all the sexy stuff away. That's the easiest way to put it. Like,
But I mean, that was also a good thing because there was
yeah, I mean,
pedophilia and
they had
stuff
a
on there.
reason for doing that, but that was also kind of a smut sanctuary, if you will, for some people. So they lost a lot of people that way. And
I don't think I've heard anyone mention or say the phrase "I posted on Tumblr
right, yeah,
yesterday" in
it
like
was like
years.
immediate. It was like overnight. It just died. I mean, there's still people posting on there, but it's definitely not what it used to be. I think we're all kind of waiting for the next big platform like that. I
Mhm.
say let's bring back LiveJournal. LiveJournal was fantastic. Or
I've never
MySpace.
heard of that.
How old are you?
Live journal? I'm
Yeah.
26.
What? We're like the same age and you don't know what LiveJournal is?
I guess
Did
not.
you at least
Sorry.
have MySpace?
Yes, I had MySpace.
Okay. Okay.
The hell did you think I was?
Chase said Reddit is the place to be.
Reddit
It
is pretty
depends.
cool. I've slowly
Reddit.
got into Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, oh, I fell down the rabbit hole of doomsday preppers on
Oh my
Reddit.
gosh.
Highly recommend. Holy cow. Like people who really take that stuff seriously. And you're just
And
like,
that's on
wow.
Reddit?
Yeah, I think it's just preppers. That's what the like community is called. So, and a
Gotcha.
lot of them are like complaining about people who are hoarding because of corona and they're like, you're making us look bad.
You're making
Like
humanity
there's
look
like
bad.
discourse on the preppers Reddit about how like corona has just really ruined the vibe.
You're ruining this community.
Yeah.
I think
Oh
that's
wow,
so funny.
my friend Jeremy brought up Friendster.
Oh my
That,
gosh, I haven't heard of that in
oh boy.
forever.
Did you ever use LimeWire when you were younger?
I
The like
did one
music
time
download?
and then I got scared and then I deleted it.
Anytime I used LimeWire, it would just destroy whatever computer I was on. Like you would download like a Linkin Park song when you're like 12 years old, and then the next day you just have like a terrible virus on your mom's computer.
I think I may have downloaded 3 songs from LimeWire, and
Yeah.
then I told one of my computer savvy friends, and then he was like, "Delete that off your computer right now." And he was like telling me like the FBI is gonna be after you, and you're gonna get a big old virus on your mom's computer. And I was like,
Yeah.
"No!" And I like just deleted it and never touched it again.
Yeah. That's why you got to get a VPN. Got to get that private network.
Couldn't do that in the early 2000s.
I know.
And the commercials were hilarious that were like against it, like, would you download a car?
You would download a car. Yeah. Those are so good.
Have you heard of the YouTuber Nakey Jakey?
I haven't.
He's one of my favorites. He did, you should watch this afterwards. I'll watch what was it? Keyfish? Or what?
Keyfish. Yeah.
Keyfish. I'll watch Keyfish. You watch Nakey Jakey's LimeWire video.
Okay.
He like does this really funny bit where he's like, you wouldn't download a fucking car, would you?
Did you see do you know who like Joji is?
Of course, yeah.
Filthy Frank. Did you see the thing on the internet today where like a lot of younger kids are realizing that Joji is Filthy Frank and it's like problematic? And
I love it.
You're just
That's so
watching
funny.
it unfold in real time like, yep, they're putting 2 and 2 together. That's Filthy
Wait
Frank.
a minute. This weird
Yeah.
dude that makes the art that I like was destroying the internet many years ago.
Yeah, that was, I will admit, like, yeah, his stuff is terrible, but there was a time and a place for Filthy Frank.
Yeah, times have changed. That stuff just can't survive on YouTube anymore.
I like that someone just said, remember remembering? Did you see that meme?
How
that's
old are
like,
we?
remember
I'm 26.
places?
Remember Lee just said that.
Yeah.
Remember doing stuff.
Yeah. Remember people. Remember your friends.
I guess that's another good question. What have you been doing since all the quarantine? How's your life changed?
I bought dice molds, and I bought like resin to make them, and I made or I haven't made anything just yet because I'm waiting on like one more thing that I need. And it's so silly and tedious, but I absolutely need it for the process. Um, been watching a lot of like shorter TV series. So like Fleabag, Barry, if you've seen
Ooh,
Barry,
I want to watch Barry so bad.
What We Do in the Shadows, been watching that. Outlander, which is like my show to cry to. Which, if you like D&D and you like Critical Role, you will probably like Outlander. It's very good.
I will check it out. Let's see. Conchi Formula, you are cracking me up in this chat. You're just like so confused with everything. You just said, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I like that you're sticking around. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for joining the madness. You're too young. We're young too. Well, I'm in my late 20s now, which is really sad.
Yeah. Do you see the memes about turning 30?
Yeah, I don't want to think about it. I hate that in 2024 I'm going to be 40 or 30.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's weird like yeah, I'm 27 now and it's weird what changes once you hit like mid to late 20s.
Mm. My friend told me that because I didn't think about it like, oh, I'm in my late 20s now because I've just felt so young for so many years. And I probably will feel young still whenever I'm 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people say too, like, nothing changes. Like, once you hit 30, there's not this,
Mm.
like, magical awakening that you have. You're still the same person. And that's how I feel like, so I'm super into BTS, and a lot of people associate that with younger women.
Mm.
And it's like, I mean, yeah, I'm 27, but I still get excited about the same things that excited me when I was a young girl. And why is that such a bad thing? So,
Yeah. I also find it funny online how strong BTS fans are. Like if you say anything,
bro,
apparently they're the
don't mess with
worst
Army.
community.
They are Army can be intense, and all it takes is like, yeah, one bad apple to make the rest of K-pop fans to look very aggressive. So.
Oh no. I like BTS. I am not talking shit at all.
Yeah,
100%
I was
promise.
actually supposed to see them next week with Lee, and
Oh, it's so sad.
I know. So I'm very fortunate that that has been the most like difficult thing about coronavirus is me not seeing BTS. Me not really having anything to look forward to. You know, I have friends who are in far worse situations, and I feel very lucky to have these like first world problems where it's like, oh, I can't watch my favorite show, can't see my favorite band.
Someone said women expressing happiness and interest on my internet.
On my internet, it's more likely than you think.
Yeah, how dare you, Shauni? Like,
Yeah.
like anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I plan on making a BTS themed dice. So for the
I would love
two
to see
other
how that
people that
plans
will be
out.
interested in that, got you. Check it out on Etsy.
So I think this episode is hilarious because we went from talking about fan account to getting old and MySpace and LimeWire.
Hell yeah.
It's exactly what this show is all about. Well, I think I'm going to end it here. Shauni, thank you so much for coming on the
Sweet.
show. Why don't you plug in everything? Where can everyone find you?
Oh wow. Okay, so for the most part, the this person's cracking me up.
Oh my god.
So Instagram would be CritRoleCloset. It's the same on Twitter. Yeah, I don't know if I want to plug my YouTube just because I'm still planning on like redoing it. So yeah, those two places for sure. Thank you so much to everyone who came to hang out.
Yeah, thank you
Love
guys so
you,
much for
Megan.
watching.
Love you, Sarah.
And if you guys want to check me
Pretty
out,
cool.
I am Portable Trevor on everything. I like consistency, so like pretty much any social media platform, I'm probably on it. Portable Trevor. You can follow me, and if you want to subscribe on here at twitch.tv/Portable Trevor. I'm also on YouTube where you can subscribe to me. Just letting you guys know I'm a filmmaker. I don't talk about D&D on this or what's your Tumblr, Trevor? I don't know. I had one at one point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember what it was, but yeah, Portable Trevor on anything. I post a lot of my short films. I post every episode of my show on YouTube. I need to come up with a name. I'm going to rebrand eventually. It's not just going to be Portable Trevor's Twitch Talk Show because that is a mouthful and nobody wants to say that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Shauni, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for watching and staying in the chats. Hope you guys have a blessed day. Bye.
Bye.